Welcome to another episode of Corporate CPR, where we breathe life back into your organization, projects, and processes, giving you insights to recovery and avoiding corporate mortality events. Today, we'll be talking about how you can understand your digital health and why it's important. And joining us to contribute to the conversation is Sharon Park. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here. Would love to hear about your background.
Sure. So I come from 10 years working at Google Corporate. All of those years were in marketing, advertising, particularly around performance advertising, the kind of advertising where you put in $1 and hopefully take out 2 or more. Performance ads, it's what I do. It's what I live for. And about 5 years ago, I started Sage Digi. We're a specialist advertising firm, and we focus all on performance ads across many different industries. While I was at Google, I had the privilege of working on over 1,000 different businesses of all sizes. But the sweet spot really for me were businesses that are village size, looking to grow to city size. So that 1,000+ headcount company that's looking, they just got some serious investments and they want to grow double every year for the next few years. That's what I specialize in doing.
Excellent. Well, we're talking about digital health, and maybe we should set some definitions around that, what that even means. So, can you share, what we should be thinking of when we're thinking of our digital health?
Sure. So, in my world, digital health is website health. So, digital can mean a lot of things like your software, et cetera. But let's just talk about website health. In one world is your organic website traffic. People who come to your traffic either directly because they know your domain, bless them, or people who do a quick Google search for project genetics and boom, you're there. That's one way. And the second way primarily is paid advertising, your search ads. And then there's some others like email contributes, affiliates, or what have you. But those are the two major bodies, your paid and organic search listings. When I look at the digital health of a business, I look at how well the website is performing. So how are all those people flowing through your website to learn about your business, to gain trust, and then take an action? Those are the kinds of things we take a look at the industry benchmarks, where are there opportunities, major opportunities to begin with, and then incremental opportunities that do translate to very meaningful dollars for a business.
And so when you're talking about health, I guess, how do I know if I have an unhealthy website, an unhealthy advertising campaign or program?
Sure. So it's an individual case basis, but I would say the first place to start, is very easy, is a tool called SEMrush. It's recognized industry-wide as a very important tool where you can look up your own domain and see what is your domain authority score. That's a score between 1 and 100 that gives you an approximate understanding of how does Google consider your page in terms of importance, 100 being very high. So a page like New York Times, their domain authority may be above 90. A page like bobslawblog.com might get a domain authority of like 30. And so take a look there. That's a really good place to start. And then you want to start looking at what are the goals of your business. Are you looking to grow lead gen? And is that happening currently? And how is that happening as a portion between paid and unpaid? Usually businesses that are in the 1,000 employee space, I'm talking around 100 million in revenue and above, typically paid and unpaid are about 50-50. So that's a good benchmark to have. Are you getting about half your web traffic through organic methods? And what could you do to improve that? So that's like a really nice place to start. If more of your website traffic acquisition is coming through paid ads, then you know that you have some work to do on your organic search rankings.
Well, obviously, website is kind of that base marketing tool, and marketing itself can and sometimes be directly related to to market share, whether or not people can find you and are buying from you. So, what do you see when, as we talk about mortality events, I guess, how do you see, you the strategy behind your website and your paid advertising connecting to the profitability of a company or the revenue growth of a company?
So if you tie your website to revenue growth and market share, where you are doing in the business, there's a couple of good ways to benchmark how you're doing. The first is your Google Ads impression share report. That is located within your ads account, and it'll tell you exactly what percent of the auctions you're eligible to win. You'll see your competitors, and these are not directly your industry competitors, right? These are competitors based on the keywords you want to win on. So if you're a management consulting firm, you want to win on terms like management consulting in my area, like that would be highly profitable for you. And so it'll tell you you're winning 20% of the time, 30% of the time, so you could raise your bids and budgets to win more. That's a really great place to start.
Obviously, well, there's so many places to put your marketing dollars, and it can be really hard to, I guess, decide what um best. So, what are some of those tactics that you can use to assess where to put your dollars versus not to?
Now we get into like a philosophical portion of our conversation, which is good. I think in marketing, as a marketer, I think that focusing on the top of the funnel is the most important thing to do. And it's the hardest pill to swallow, because you're telling folks, don't expect an immediate return on these campaigns. Focusing on that top of the funnel and making your brand name something that CEOs and decision makers in your industry, it resonates with them, but they know that you even exist, is important. Then after that, you move on down and put some marketing dollars towards the consideration phase of the funnel. So this would be like offering case studies, offering webinars, and in exchange, you're asking for people's email addresses. But then you'll host a nice 1-hour session with an expert in their field and give them content that would be helpful to the business. Then at the bottom of the funnel, this is the performance part of the funnel, where you're looking for people who are actively searching and today are in market to hire or make a purchase. That's the smallest portion of the population to address. And you will see, there's good returns at that portion of the funnel, but it is shaped, like this, and that's the smallest number of people to address. So that's why a full funnel marketing program is so important. Once you burn up everybody who's in market today, like, what are you doing to like grow that funnel for tomorrow? In that way, since the theme of this podcast would be avoiding corporate mortality events, focusing mid to upper funnel is very, very important, because it builds resilience for your business through economic shrinkages. It builds in a moat around your business, around pricing differences with competitors, because you've already shared the value of what it is you're going to bring to a company. There is some trust and belief as leads flow in through the door.
You mentioned that you obviously help a lot of companies who've maybe hit some turbulent times, and you've seen some turnaround stories. Would love to hear maybe some of your case studies, because I find kind of those practical examples can really help other organizations relate to what might be happening in their company.
Absolutely. Just this week, I finished a digital health assessment for a company. They have 1,000 employees and 1,000 contractors. They're in the education space, and a brand new CEO was brought in about 6 weeks ago. This CEO came in because previous CEO had a 30% downturn in the business, mainly for COVID specific reasons, but they were not able to turn that drop around, and the business kept contracting. So I did a digital health report, and we looked at both the organic side of the organic side of website traffic and the paid side of website traffic. On the organic side, we saw a massive drop that happened about 9 months ago. And I asked the team, why hasn't this traffic been regained? Or why is it not the company's number one priority to regain this traffic? Like, there's a lot of nuances in a company. So as a consultant, I got to ask those questions. There really was not a clear answer. And so it became very clear to me, like, I must press upon this team, like, regaining your organic search results has to be your top priority. At the same time, though, as a new CEO coming on to a business that is experiencing a crunch in cash flow, that person's going to be under immense pressure to shrink budgets, right? And the quickest budgets to cut was likely marketing, headcount and marketing. And the corporate, the death event here would be a cut in paid ads when organic search results are already shrinking. The company is now 60-70% dependent on paid ads for traffic. But if you cut that budget, then all of a sudden your company's not 30% down, you're 40-50% down. So how will that growth reoccur? It's very important to protect that performance budget, even also to double down and invest more in the middle of the funnel and get people to be more aware of your brand name and to understand, hey, what's unique about my business? What is the sparkling carrot? What is the sparkling, glimmering difference here? And this is why you should consider us when you're ready to purchase. That is an ad campaign that is very, very important to undertake in these kinds of situations.
And what do you find the biggest mistakes companies do? I mean, besides cutting the budget, do you see other things that they, in their reactionary modes, make some missteps that don't end up helping, recover their market share?
I think a couple of different things. One is relying on more than one source of truth for revenue data. That is the consultant worth paying for right away. Is our attribution being done perfectly? At which point you could make some solid decisions, right? But I sifted through, on this particular case, I sifted through thousands of rows of data, 3 different dashboards. And so I really couldn't say without questioning further, like, which is the right number that we should be looking at. So getting the attribution right should be the top priority. Another way where businesses could fumble, I think, is spending too long in that analysis paralysis and not taking action. SEO, so search engine optimization, happens on the scale of years, not in the scale of months or quarters. So investing in new content, original content, video-based content, things that we're doing right this second, hosting podcasts, generating content for your website, getting other businesses to link to your website is an activity that should be happening with intensity. Search engine optimization, because it's about next year. We're planting an orchard here. Where there's no very low-lying fruit in SEO. I think, 1/3 common mistake may be not asking the very blunt, tough questions.
Such as?
And I would imagine, such as, why hasn't, it's been 9 months since these pages were taken down and we took a 30% hit in search engine optimization. So why haven't they been set live? Or what is stopping this from being set live today?
You mentioned, oh, sorry, go ahead.
There are many reasons, and a lot of them have to do with, being human to human business. You got to tread lightly sometimes. There are many teams that are contributing, but really to ask that tough question, why not set that page live today?
You mentioned, you're building or you're planting an orchard. So, I mean, I guess that's one thing. Could you dive in a little bit more? Obviously, you know, um, I like to say we live in a microwave society, so we want instant results. How much time do we have to expect to wait to start seeing results, or how do you know you're headed the right way versus needing to pivot?
Yeah. In search engine optimization, you need to look at year over year data. And so, Larry Page, one of the founders of Google, his patented process is the page rank. Page rank
Mm,
means however many high domain authority, legitimate websites are pointing to your website will then determine if your website's worth being at the top of Google. That's page rank. Or it's
mhm,
hard to do. And search engine optimization agencies, they write original content or they ask to host guest content with other websites that are good quality. Imagine being the editor of Forbes, you're getting thousands of requests to backlink to other pages. So this kind
mhm.
of thing takes relationship building. It takes time to plant all these links throughout the internet. And little by little, you will see growth. But that kind of turnaround, it takes many backlinks. For example, this particular education firm I was talking about, they have 2.8 million backlinks. So to make
Wow.
a dent, you're going to want to do 100 a month. And at the end of the year, you'll have 1,200 more backlinks.
Well, that sounds kind of, I guess, daunting. I mean, obviously, it seems easier for a company like New York Times or something like that, who their industry is information.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just a company it sounds like you have to be blogging or something then to be doing this. Like how do you do that if it's not your how do you get enough backlinks and things if that's not your primary focus of your business is like information sharing?
Yeah, that's great question, Jana. You got to hire out. It's an
Mm,
agency's job. They do it all day long. They have a Rolodex of thousands of publishers that they have relationships with already, so they can move much faster than, a business that's focused on something else.
mm,
And so it's definitely worth hiring out, and you need a technical firm that's going to do that. There are well-known SEO agencies, and paying out between $5,000 to $10,000 a month for SEO is an important thing to do.
mm. Interesting. Um, and how about the company who maybe is more referral based? When do they start to transition to actually getting website business, or business driven through advertising versus hey, so and so recommended me to you. Maybe more of like the lawyers or consultants or those types of industries.
Yeah. That's a great question. Lawyers, consultants, ad agencies, these are all relationship driven companies.
Mm,
There is a
yeah.
lot of growth to be had, though, a ton of
Mm,
business to be had through backlinking and affiliates and SEO. For example, lawyers are so competitive in online ads that a single click to a law firm could be $100, and they're
mm,
paying that rate because they do monetize coming in with no prior relationship. They just have proof points. And so in businesses like ours, relationship driven businesses, we have to establish some initial touch points by giving away free information.
mm,
So let's say it takes 3-4 touch points. Okay. So if someone's a referral, typically you're going to close that person. If it's the right match, you're going to close them in 1 to 2 calls. You're going to scope out what they need, say, hey, your bestie told me to work with you, so here it is. This is our price. We're fair. Let's go. And it moves fast in referrals.
mhm,
It will probably be double or triple that time if you don't have that referral, but business still closes. So then you want content on your website that's like, here are some case studies. Here's a video
mhm,
of us in action. Here's what the first 10 weeks of business together looks like here. Our framework for a proven points of success, that's all there. And there's a lot of gains to be had. So your question was, when is it appropriate to start your SEO, SEM? It's when you can afford it. And so if you could invest, I would say $10,000 to $15,000 a month partially in paid ads, partially in SEO, you're going to see some good results.
Interesting. It's always very, I guess, daunting. How do you, in the sense of where you put your marketing? I know your specialty is we're talking about website health, or website and SEO and paid advertising, but how do you know when to I guess it pay LinkedIn or pay YouTube or one of those,
Yeah,
and put your dollars there instead of in SEO?
great question. So typically, if it's your first foray into advertising, I would say start where there could be profits, which is in general, Google search. If you're B2B, LinkedIn is a very powerful platform. Do that right and try to set up over the first 2-3 months a 1.5 to 1 return on ad spend or 2 to 1 return on ad spend. It may take longer if you have a long sales cycle, but your initial goal should be, let's squeeze out some profits here. Then use your profits to move up the funnel and do awareness ads, either on LinkedIn, which is highly effective, or through display advertising. I think that's a great place to start. But I really do like to start at the bottom of the funnel. I know earlier I said focus on the top, but if it's your first step into advertising, at least we got to get some business out of your dollars initially, and then we can swim up the funnel together.
Mm.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, though, what that leads me to is, then what are some metrics we should be watching then? How do we know we're getting the return on investment and know that we should be keep putting our dollars in?
That's a great question because there's so many metrics.
Yeah.
So as a business owner, you should be given a business intelligence dashboard by your agency. One, they should be able to show you without a doubt, are you profitable or not profitable? And then you verify. You're like, that's not what I've heard from sales. Oftentimes in business, let's assume this is a B2B conversation. Agencies will say like, oh, we're giving you like $50 cost per lead, and we've delivered 100 leads. So that's great. But what if your close rate on a lead is less than 5%? Then that number changes. What is your cost per contract? That's what I like to look at. So you've paid ads, you've paid your agency, you've paid your sales commission, and now you're closing. You got to know that number, cost per contract, and share. Once, a trusted agency, you can feel free to share. Look, my margin per contract is about 60%. So the ROI's got to beat that. My close rate is about 5%. So, do the math, get the calculator out, and these are the stats we need to beat. A great CRM like HubSpot, Salesforce, you can ultimately push revenue back into your ads platform. And so once a contract reaches close one means, let's assume the size of that contract's going to happen, push that dollar amount back into the Google Ads platform, figure out which exact keyword drove that contract to close, and invest there. That takes about a year of working in paid ads, but ultimately you got to close that loop all the way around, especially in B2B. Sales could be a long cycle. 6 months to a year, you're starting to get a very good picture.
Well, Sharon, this has been really interesting conversation. Would love to hear maybe the 3 things you want to leave top of mind with folks.
3 things. All right, 3 things to keep in mind. 1, the time to get started is now, even if it's small. 2 would be, don't try to do it on your own. It's too much work to do. Bring on an agency that you trust, someone who pledges transparency to you. They pledge, hey, you own your data. I'm going to show you the truth in this data. That type of agency is worth working with. I would say number 3, maybe refer back to number 1. I'm kidding. Number 3, go ahead and create that content. I know it's just another thing to do on your to-do list, but a newsletter, a blog, a webinar, these are things that you can outsource to your team, have them generate some thoughtful content and use it for mid-funnel marketing. It does pay dividends in the future.
And when you hit hard times, don't cut your marketing budget. Would that be
If
number 4?
possible, I know the realities of a business. I own my own P&L. I know what the realities are, but you will come under a lot of pressure from the board or from investors. Why are you spending so much here? And, sales is about today and marketing is about tomorrow's pipeline. So we don't want to cut that short.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Janice. So what a pleasure.
Yeah. And to our audience, until next time, keep your organizations healthy.